Hello, everyone. Welcome to our case study today on Beyond Programming as usual. My name is Melissa Macaluso. I am a Senior Customer Success Manager here at League Apps. Just been here for almost 3.5 years at this point, working with our awesome partners, getting them onto the system, feeling comfortable, confident with everything, and continue to service those accounts. So I'm really kind of in the weeds working with everybody on a day-to-day basis, making sure they're getting the most out of the system. And we're supporting those folks in all of their goals. And a lot of those goals are around growth and, spreading across the country. And I think our guest for today is a perfect example of successful stories and how that happens and doing it the right way. But before I introduce him, just a couple housekeeping items. We want to make sure this is as interactive as possible. So definitely chat in over on the right-hand side. Let us know your thoughts, and then toggle over to the Q&A towards the end. We will open it up to the floor to ask questions, but as you're thinking of things, go ahead and throw those questions in there. Other participants can just click the up arrow to vote it up to the top, so we make sure we're prioritizing. So keep them coming throughout. We'll work them in and do an open Q&A then. And then just another reminder, after this session, we're all gonna hopefully everyone can join us for the happy hour and head over to the product lounge, where we have a lot of really awesome content going on there. If you're interested in, League App specific questions, seeing our branded app websites, a whole host of really awesome stuff going on that floor. But with that, I would love to just introduce our guest, Nathan Bowen, who is the founder and CEO of Total Package Hockey. So we'll get Nathan up on the stage here to further introduce himself. Hey, Nathan, you with us?
Hey, Melissa, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thanks.
I'm happy to have you.
Well, thanks a lot for having us. Obviously, it's a big honor. Wish we could all be in person like we were last year. Because it was such an incredible event and first class. But we're all figuring out how to adapt right now, right?
Exactly. I think we're all on the same page. We would love to be doing this again in person, and fingers crossed to 2021 back in Manhattan.
We'll get there.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Well, I think for the audience, why don't we just have you kind of kick us off a little bit about, TPH, how it started, which is what, 2001 this all came about, and man, how much you guys have grown since then and what you guys have become.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And again, thanks for including us. What started out really is a bunch of us, came down, played some college hockey at UH. There's an NCAA Division I program in Huntsville, and we just saw a great opportunity where a lot of the kids at the time, not growing up in a traditional type of hockey market, they just didn't have access or understand the opportunities that were available in the game, and they weren't really receiving the coaching. There was a lot of great parents trying to help out, but so that's how we got started. We had a 2-week summer camp and just had a lot of fun. And 19 years later, here we are, in 19 cities and 14 different states, and it's been an incredible journey so far. And then throw what hits us in March. And, we all just keep learning, but we're super fortunate. For us, we've coined the TPH way internally, which is we want everybody performing at a standard that exceeds expectations. It's something that's been super key for us long term, and we deliver and exceed those expectations through 6 core competencies or platforms. One is our center of excellence model that obviously we'll dig in a little bit more today on. 2, tournaments and experiences, programs, traditional clinics that a lot of us are, association or club management is something else that we do. And then we just acquired a company called the Prospect Exchange that, the timing, we were lucky with how it worked out, but it's a tool that allows and helps student athletes get connected with colleges and post-secondary school opportunities to continue on playing the game.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And I know, even I think man, I think I've been working with TPH for close to 2 years now. Just personally, you guys have been using League Apps even longer than that, which is amazing. And just to see the implementation of the different areas of your business. But one thing that really does stay consistent throughout the whole thing is just, that TPH way across every new branch of the organization that you guys bring in, which isn't easy to do. How, as you guys have been navigating, you mentioned since last March, which there was a whole host of other variables into the mix. How do you really keep that top of mind and make sure as you're navigating that situation and continuing to build the business, that's staying front and center?
Well, frankly, I mean, it was that mentality and mindset was needed more than ever, right? We talk all the time, again, internally, how you see people's true colors, right? In times of stress and pressure, playing in that game 7 in overtime, right? Like playing in big games, or, and it's no different in business, right? It's no different, how we decide to behave and tackle things. And so just having that mentality has been key. We had our leadership meeting, been reading a book together as a group, and we had our last session yesterday, and we actually we talked about grind.
Yep.
And the willingness, to grind, and that's actually that can be a learned skill, and it needs to become a habit. So, having that grind mentality, keeping things positive with each other, and especially all those families that we serve, really has just been a big key. So it's been very cool, because we can fall back to what we developed and kind of coined, 17, 18 years ago, but it continues to apply, on a daily basis for us.
Totally. And that grind mentality, it's an interesting one. I think, one of our core values at League Apps is grit. And with that, like, I think it's often those two concepts are viewed as like, I'm working later and I'm working earlier and I'm just extending my hours, when really it's that tough mentality of I'm just working harder. And that might mean more efficiently, but keeping that positive energy is key in that, for sure, especially at difficult times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know you guys launched some different types of programming, and I mean, the one that has been really core, we'll talk about Center of Excellences in a minute. But even just during the pandemic, obviously people need to find themselves looping in different ways to keep kids engaged, which is tough. So I think you guys launched some virtual trainings this spring. Can you talk a little bit about that? What was the success like?
Yeah, we did. Just so incredibly proud of our team. I mean, our team members, again, you see people's true colors. All of a sudden, when we got hit with this, right, in March, the natural reaction for all of us is, oh my gosh, right? Like, what do we do? And it's very easy to just try to go into that defensive mode. We quickly picked up our bootstraps, as we're sitting there like, hey, these are the things that we stress to our student athletes every day. So we need to remember what we're preaching every day and make sure that we continue to live by that and drive. So it was incredible. Our chief operating officer, Francis Anslone, who spoke last year, and he's just high energy and a lot of juice, so he just picked up the ball, and he said, hey, who wants to come with me? And he grabbed some of our team members from different cities all across the country, and different members brought a different piece to our virtual hockey development platform. And it was incredible how quickly they got something up, built, and out there. Some folks have decided they can end up being a new product for some folks.
Mm-hmm.
For us, immediately, we just supplied it to our families. It was no cost. Our whole goal was, how do we keep our student athletes positive, motivated, and just keep them going, right? Like, we talk about, we want to get back to normal. Well, how can we continue to help our student athletes, although they have to stay home at this point in time? How can we keep things as normal as possible for them, and keep them being physically active, engaged, and obviously there's an opportunity to mentor them as through the training as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. And it's a difficult task. What were some of the the key challenges you guys felt like you needed to overcome as you were rolling this out? I mean, other than the obvious global pandemic putting you in the situation to begin with, but as you were rolling it out, what kind of challenges were you guys faced with?
Well, obviously the a lot of folks have to adapt, right? I mean, we all live on Zoom right now, right? So the challenges I think were both for our team members and our student athletes, like how to just interact and interface effectively and efficiently through technology, right? Whether it's Zoom or something else, another tool that we're using. So that was one challenge. And then, obviously just again, keeping everybody upbeat and positive. But what was thought to be a challenge to start has since turned into another opportunity for us to acquire better
Yep.
skills and to be better. And for us, and being in 14 different states, 19 different cities, is all of a sudden our collaboration was the best it's ever been. It was almost embarrassing that we've been working for 19 years, and it takes something like this for us to the collaboration.
Right.
It's changed TPH forever for the good. So those were some of the challenges, but again, those challenges ended up turning into positive changes for
And
us.
I think that's what everybody's hoping for. And I think a big part of that is being able to look at the situation head on and say, okay, this is tough. This is not going to be fun. This is not going to be, we're going to have to sift through a lot, but how can we make sure we're doing it in a way that brings us out on top and in a better position? And to be able to find yourselves looking at it that's already happening is amazing. I can only imagine.
Yeah, and again, like obviously nobody could see this
Right.
coming, but for us, what also happened is with our center of excellence model, study, train, play, our 4 pillars of the model, all of a sudden the ice time was taken away, that the rinks were closed or the fields were shut down, right? So we couldn't service that part of the model. However, we were still able to continue to educate our student athletes. They all finished the semester, a lot of them ahead of time. And we had 42 student athletes across the country graduate from high school.
That's incredible.
And my own kids, I watched, and unfortunately they attended traditional school, and unfortunately they were done. March learning was done. And our student athletes got to power through, finish their semester, finish on time, and we were able to continue to deliver the academics. We were able to continue to deliver, the training through the virtual hockey development platform. And we were able to continue to mentor, again, just through tech and through different ways. But we were able to maintain those 3 pillars of the model. And even with what's going on now with some closures, and sometimes we have to shut things down, we're still able to continue to deliver those 3 pillars of the model to the student athletes. So that ended up being, a really, really cool win for everybody.
That's incredible. And I think that's a great segue as we talk about, COVID bringing out unconventional programming and stepping people out of their comfort zone. Something you guys were already doing that was so unique to TPH was this concept of center of excellence. And you really had that ingrained. So it's cool to see, and hear how you guys continued it through at the benefit of the kids throughout. But, for the audience, I'd love for you to just chat a little bit more about what that center of excellence model really is, what that's providing to the players.
Yeah. So, the center of excellence really came out of demand, and we saw that we first opened up in Detroit. We researched the academics for 2 years prior to opening our first center up there, and the bottom line is we've now been able to build a model that allows student athletes to study, train, and play with us. So essentially, they're coming to us 10 months out of the year through during the school year, and They're taking care of their academics through an online platform, but we build a blended learning environment for them to maximize their academic outcomes through that kind of environment, which we know through a lot of studies. The second part is we just look at how a lot of our young athletes are trained, right? And this gives them a chance to actually take a deep breath and a lot of time work on developing athleticism versus a lot of times coaches in different sports, they're hurried, right? They have limited time to spend with their athletes at practice and in development sessions. And then the third part of the model is play, which all of this is helping them build, life skills and also help them improve in their ability to go play with their clubs in the evening. So it's really been an incredible journey. We're now servicing 6 different kinds of athletes. We have 9 figure skaters in Nashville that are taking advantage of the model. We're servicing soccer and baseball and softball and some up and coming young tennis student athletes as well.
Very
So
cool.
the evolution of the model has been great. And again, that's been with COVID hitting. Any of us that have children, or if we have a niece or nephew or friends that have kids, can relate to the fact that you've been exposed now to online learning.
And that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing it evolve. We're seeing where it is now. Where did the idea even come from? Like, how did you even say this is something that a community needs? This is something people will really relate to.
Well, again, we at first we were asked about it. Total Package Hockey has a company up in London, Ontario as well. We're two separate entities, but it's a longtime business partner and one of my best friends, Dwayne Blaze, started that up, and he first got that academy up and running in London. And we saw what he was doing, and the demand just grew year over year for him. And obviously, folks, you just listen to what your customers are looking for, what they need, what they value, and see if that fits what you can provide, or what your partner, perhaps a partner, can help you provide them. So, and we opened up in Detroit, and things just took off from there fairly quickly. And, we now have 12 centers, across the country.
It's amazing. What do you feel like you're the most excited about as you guys keep growing this side of the business?
Well, what's funny, and we were challenged on this. What are you guys doing getting involved in academics? And a lot of people raise their, you're just hockey guys. You should just be doing hockey. Well, no, we're not. At the end of the day, for us, hockey's a carrot, right? What we're really interested in is helping these young student athletes maximize their potential. It just happens to be they get extra excited about athletics, right? They get extra excited about the sport that they're in. That's just the carrot that gets them in the front door. What excites us is helping them get better, maximizing their potential, figuring out how we can make them a better person, so that when they grow up, or they're applying to college, or they get their first job, or they become a mother or a father, that they take lessons and skills that they've learned while they're spending their time with us and can apply them. So for us, that's the number one key. The second piece is our academic platform. We have a phenomenal partner with in Edmentum. They're an industry leader in the number of courses that they offer through online curriculum. And what we're seeing is that there's a lot of change, and we know that there's a better way for student athletes to maximize their academic intake and outcomes. And that's what's just got us jacked up right now and jumping out of bed every morning. Those two pieces.
That's great. I mean, I love just the piece about I feel like we always talk as a company about the fact that, we look back on our childhoods, our young adulthoods, all the way up through now, and how sport changed our lives. And as much as it's like you look back and you think about the peak moments, that, double that brought in the winning run, that goal that got, the victory, and all of those things are important. But you talk about how it builds your character, the situation you're placed in when you're losing and you're challenged, and how that actually shapes the person that you become, and gets you to where you are today. And it's just so much more than just, to your point, getting on the field and remembering those memories that are amazing. It's how does it shape you to the person that you ultimately become and continue to become. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I obviously know that, the value of grind, is part of what you live by as well. And when we were talking about that too, it's also identifying, you read a lot of criticism about kids coming up now, and perhaps, they're different. Well, listen, our folks complained about us, and their folks complained about them, right? Like, I mean, it's a matter of understanding that, perhaps back when a lot of us were coming up through sport or school, or maybe even how we were parented, it was done a lot of times through fear, right? Like, and you were told what to do, and you weren't allowed to ask why, and you just, that's how things
Yeah.
were. And now we need to understand, again, grind is a habit. It's something that can be taught. But now, if we really want to connect with our student athletes, we have to do it in a positive way. So instead of perhaps that coach we had back in the day that was yelling and screaming, and that's how they were trying to push us through and learn how to grind, now it needs to be recognizing, rewarding, and emphasizing in a positive way to our student athletes when they do grind through something, right? When, they do something extra, they go the extra mile, they arrive early, they, in hockey, block shots, or, they work hard to get a puck out of the zone, whatever it is. So I think, again, that's just a big difference in understanding how we can effectively connect with our student
Yeah,
athletes.
absolutely. I mean, they have to find it within for it to have a real change and impact on the, who they are, as opposed to just telling
100%.
them you have to do it, which sometimes has to
Exactly.
happen, but
It does. Yeah. It's not to say everyone's still got to be held accountable. There's no doubt about that. Right. It's just all in the presentation.
Exactly. Well, what kind of advice do you have for organizations when it comes to growing their business in normal times and in challenging times, staying agile, meeting the needs in the community?
Well, I think that's a great question. For us, when, again, we got hit with this in March, we grabbed our bootstraps and we're like, we're going after this. And instead of cutting, we started investing. We've hired over 30 people since then, and new team members. And that's just the approach that we took. And it's been an awesome wake-up call, because it actually also gave us a chance to pause, look at our foundation, look at our structure. And I think one of the biggest pieces of advice, especially being involved in youth sports and being involved in sports in general, is how can you create efficiencies? This is all about people. It's all about people with respect to all the team members and coaches and everybody that's involved in serving the student athletes. And then it's about the student athletes and how do we serve them and their families. If we use technology like we've done together with you, incredible tech, League Apps has made us a lot more efficient. What does that do? That frees up the time for our coaches or our academic success coaches. It doesn't matter who it is. It frees time up for them so they can spend more time on their relationships, and they can spend more time with the student athletes and their families. So I think a huge piece of advice is using tech, to create efficiencies. For us, it allows you to spend the time on what matters.
Totally. And that, I say that to new partners coming on, and I'm so happy to hear you guys feel that way about League Apps. I, talk to Nichelle all the time about different things that you guys are doing. Nichelle being, an absolutely amazing employee for TPH. She's the best.
Yeah.
and she, is constantly thinking of new ways to make things better. And I'm so happy, to hear that League Apps has that impact on your business. I say to people all the time, new partners coming on board, like, my goal, strip away the technology. Like, you should be focusing on what's happening on the field, on the ice, on the court. That should be where the majority of the focus is. Let the technology take, that manual work off of your plate. So you're really focused on the product, what you're delivering to the families and the community. And you guys do that so well. And I feel like are constantly innovating. What new can we implement? What can we streamline? What can we, take what was manual and automate it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys have saved us thousands of hours in a lot of areas and tasks. But also having data, right, at your fingertips and quick access to it. Again, that does go into your ability to help grow and maintain and build new relationships.
Totally.
And so also creating efficiencies, but also having access and having more data and understanding people better and being able to connect with them through the data that you're collecting, really also has helped our business.
Yeah, absolutely. So the $1 million question, the tough one given the state of the world, but what does the future look like for TPH? Where are you guys heading? What are you looking forward to?
Well, again, I think we're extremely excited. I'm stuttering a little bit just because I've got 900 things that want to come spewing out of my mouth right now. But again, for us, it's all about changing lives. And for the Center of Excellence model and what we've learned, mostly the hard way over the past 9 years, is the impact that we're able to have on the student athletes. We're with them 9 to 10 months out of the year. And a lot of instances, we spend more time with them than their parents. Right. And so understanding that and understanding the responsibility that comes with that and how we can maximize their potential as a student, as an athlete, but obviously most importantly as a person. It's just, we have such an incredible opportunity. As you know, we're launching a League Apps website. I'm hoping it gets posted up next week, but we've learned a lot, looking frankly from the conference last year as well, and directors and facility owners and operators that we've met. We've now been able to build a model that is agnostic with respect to the sport. So we can provide soccer, volleyball, softball, sports that are interested again in maximizing athletic and academic and personal development. We've now been able to build a model that we can surround that athletic leader, or that we can implement in a facility that takes up time from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And as we know, gyms or facilities, sporting facilities, typically sit empty or are quiet between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. So this helps, obviously, the impact that it has on the student athletes, but it also helps businesses generate a new revenue stream. And especially for facilities, if we want the best facilities, we need our facilities to be profitable and do well, so that they keep investing in making their facility the best that it can be for the student athletes and for the coaches. So that's what's got us pretty pumped up in the mornings.
I love it. The whole idea of being able to, like you said, make this agnostic to sport. That's something that I never would have thought about until really, diving into this model. And it makes so much sense, like stripping back that sport specific and helping kids get better in that sport, and just, again, developing as a whole. I think that's really interesting.
Well, in a lot of instances, by maximizing, and you can't say this to the kids, right? Because the kids will just be like, "Oh, I just got to work on my sport all the time. I don't need to worry about school," right? We know that is not the case. But we utilize the sport as the carrot to drive academic performance. However, by them maximizing their athletic development, that can sometimes be the life-changing piece that opens up the academic door, right? It gets them into a school that, you know, wants them to come play club or to come play Division 3 or Division 2 or Division 1, right? So by maximizing their athletic development, that could sometimes get them into that school that perhaps academically they're close, but because of their athletics and what they're going to bring to that school in the program, can really be what ends up opening that door for them, and that will change their life forever.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, we're talking youth sports here. So, you know, as much as it's about developing the whole person and how important that is, you know, there are opportunities for those that really are, you know, putting in the work, gifted, and want to commit to that next level. And I think so much of, again, the values and the work ethic that are instilled in them at that young age as they're developing, as they continue developing those skills, that's what puts them in a position to be able to compete on that level, physically, mentally, emotionally, the whole package.
100%. And the other thing though too is that's for the very few, right? That happens for, but making sure that you're clearly communicating to the parents what this is really about, and the skills and the habits, the life-changing lifestyle skills and habits that they will get through this model. You know, again, it's just going to better prepare them for college, even if it's just to you know, attend college and have a regular experience, or whether it's to come show up, be prepared for that first job interview.
Totally. You keep saying habit. I wrote down grind is a habit. I love that. I think that's awesome. It's so true. Yeah. Cool. Well, why don't we open it up to some questions from the participants? Let's see if we have any currently. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and toggle into that Q&A tab over on the right-hand side in that chat box, Q&A, and enter the question there. And, you know, if people like questions that have already been asked, you can just click the up arrow to vote it, prioritize it to the top. Let's see if let's check out the chat. Yeah, there's an interesting comment here about just integrating technical solutions, recruiting virtual and whatnot. And, you know, again, to something you guys hit on before, I think it's so much about the different systems that you guys are bringing in and working into the business, trying to have it be as few as you can to make sure you're not, you know, in and out of a billion different systems a day. And that's why I think it's so important for them to speak to one another. But it seems like that's such an integral part of what you guys are doing. I think we got a question in here. What's been the most significant contributing factor to your success?
Our team members. You know, their integrity, their willingness to grind, you know, their love for helping kids, bottom line for us. And it's not something that we've really implemented just in the last couple of years, has been our hiring process and how much work we now put in, because we have made mistakes in the past, but our team members are just passionate about what they do. They love what they do, and you know, egos are parked at the door, and a lot of times our coaches, our success coaches, our academic directors, it doesn't matter who it is, a lot of times they feel confident to share their successes and their failures, and share them with the student athletes. And so for us, I know you hear it all the time, but especially when, you know, this is about people. And so that's been the key for us.
Totally. Okay, so I almost missed one. What teams, when we're talking about running virtual programming, is that where are you kind of shifting people around internally, bringing that on? Did you guys, you know, make hires specifically around virtual programming? You know, the question in particular is what teams are involved with setting up and running that virtual programming?
No, I mean, we did it out of necessity, you know, once March hit. So we had talked about it, we had discussed it. It's actually something that I think we're still trying to figure out. I don't think we've got it figured out,
Hmm.
whatsoever. Um, so it's something now that we at least have a starting point. And again, we've learned from some things that weren't quite as effective. And we've learned from some things that, for instance, delivering our leadership and mentorship program to multiple centers across the country all at the same time.
Hmm.
And those student athletes collaborating with one another, whether they're in Scottsdale, Arizona, or in Boston or in Nashville. So I think we continue to learn. I think for us, I think virtual is great. And I think what it can help us do and improve connection and relationships is awesome, but you can never replace the face-to-face time, and you can never replace, the impact that has. So, I think we're still trying to figure quite a bit
Yeah.
out.
Everyone in some capacity. So outside of your people, what administratively has been key to your success?
Michelle.
I really hope she's on here. She deserves to hear that.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, she's incredible. Her work ethic and personal grind, but no, again, it's been about creating efficiency. So with us, league apps and you guys, first class customer service and working with Michelle to help systems talk with one another. We made the strategic decision to invest in Zoho suite of apps, right? So connecting league apps so that we have as many different apps talking to one another. And we made that strategic decision because we were able to let go the use of about 7 or 8 other apps that are now all within the suite of apps with
Yeah.
Zoho. So creating and those efficiencies where we're having all the different pieces talk to one another. We all know how critical CRM is. And CRM for us, we talk about it being the heart and the heartbeat, right, of TPH and how that needs to be connected to the rest of the body of
Yeah,
TPH.
absolutely. So what are your recommendations for hiring and retaining great team members in your organization?
Recommendations for hiring and what I would say, this is one of the biggest pitfalls, and we've been guilty of it so many times, is in the athletics world, hiring friends or hiring people because my cousin who consults for us and who's a super, super sharp dude and has changed our company forever with his feedback and support and work, is you don't just hire, oh, he's a good
Right.
guy. He makes fun of us. I just say he's a good guy. No, that's so sticking, implementing a formal process, really digging in and doing your due diligence, which can be incredibly hard and it's very time consuming, especially if you're, one person just running a club or you only have 2 or 3 people. But taking a deep breath and taking the right amount of time and really sourcing through and using technology again, right, to source candidates, it's worth it because it'll pay off. Because for a lot of us, one misstep with that can actually literally set your business back by a year or two, right? So, from the hiring process, that would be, I think, our advice. And the second piece to answer your question from retention, I think for us has just been very simple, and that's just treat each other how you want to be, how you would want to be treated. And Nichelle's a great example. She's been with us, I think, 13 or 14 years now, and Keith Rowe has been with us 12 years, and the vast majority of our team members have been with us 5 or more years. And I think that's a great indication of how they feel, right?
Hmm.
And I know Nichelle is one of our biggest advocates. That's one of the things that she loves to share with people. So I think trying to take care of your team members within the resources that you do have as best as you can, that's been the key, for us. And realizing and understanding and respecting how important people's family lives are and what do they value outside of the work that they're doing for you. And for us, like, we've never tracked holidays. We've never tracked vacation. We don't. It's very simple. We ask folks to work and grind and get the work done. And if that means, hey, I'm going to go to a family reunion for 4 days, no problem.
Right.
That's been a real key for us.
Yeah. And it's not easy to get to. Like, I can speak to being on the Nichelle side of things where, whatever you may have been doing before, and then you step into a situation and work with a company or an organization that totally makes you have that light bulb moment of like, oh, yes, this is what it should feel like. This is
Yes.
it. I'm like happy doing what I'm doing and loving the people that I'm working with. And it's not easy. I give, you a lot of credit, Brian, Jeremy, Steve, if you're listening, credit as well,
Yeah.
because it's not an easy culture to establish where it's, work hard and we want you to be happy doing it. And we want you to advocate for this company genuinely and unconditionally.
Brian and Jeremy, I think, have done a heck of a job. Listen, you can't fake it over 3 days last year that we all spent together,
Yep.
right? I mean, you could just see the energy. You can hear the energy when we work with your team, whether it's on, like this, or it's on the phone or whatever it is. I mean, you can't fake that. So, I mean, again, I think creating a culture, we all talk about it, but I think very few actually build it.
Yep.
And execute on it that truly helps folks feel fulfilled and really a special part of something.
Totally. On that note, someone asked, are you hiring?
We are. We're actually going to be we're projected to hire over 30 plus
Wow.
new team members going into 21. We've got some really aggressive plans but bottom line is we need the right team members to fuel that growth.
Totally. All right. So last question to bring us home. I know you talked a little bit kind of about what you're excited about, in the future of TPH, but what's really your vision for TPH in the next 5 years?
We're going to continue to strive to be the world leader and positively impacting the lives of our student athletes through sport and academics. We actually just got through our annual offsite, and we've got to update our vision. So that's where we're headed.
That's awesome. I love it. I think that's a perfect set of parting words for today. Nathan, thank you so much for joining. It's always awesome getting to chat with you, especially in forums like this that are really impacting so many people. And just generally speaking, on behalf of League Apps, this partnership means so much to us. You're always stepping up, and it's such a mutually beneficial, relationship we really all built.
Well, listen, Melissa, you guys are so much more than software, right? I mean, it's so the other thing too that I would just leave you with is anybody tuning in, to this today, if there's anything that we can do or advice or connections or anything that we can just do to help someone out there that needs the help, reach out to us, because we love to help people. And Brian's been incredible with this with me, just the contacts and the connections and getting us in front of some future partners is just been phenomenal. So I can't thank you guys enough, and we're always here to chip in and help out. We love being team players.
Awesome. Likewise. It's awesome. Well, thank you again, Nathan.